This video is powered by BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 to get your 150% sign-up bonus. Start playing today with an exclusive offer. Shout out to BetUS for being the proud sponsor of Roundtable Sports.
Hello, welcome back into the NFC East Roundtable. And as this season comes to a close with the NFC East being represented in the Super Bowl, when it comes to the Giants, it has been the farthest from a great season like other teams have in this division, like the Commanders and Eagles. The Giants finishing their season 3-14. I don't know what has been a worse season as a Giants fan that I can remember. Now, last year was kind of a blur where it was bad, right? It was a bad season, but I really, as a Giants fan, never been so out of it, like watching Giants games in my entire life. Even back in 2023, I was still tuned into games. Hell, I was still even rooting for wins. But if you guys have been on the live streams, on the pre-records during this season on this channel, and you guys have heard me talk, you guys know that around that Buccaneers game, I think, yeah, it was the Buccaneers game and the Carolina game for sure, I was dead set on just tanking the rest of the season. I have never in my entire life ever rooted for my team to lose. Ever. I'm talking 2021 season. I'm talking the 2017 season. I'm talking the 2013 season. The 2013 season was magical. That team started off 0-6, and I was rooting for them to keep winning, and they finished 7-9. That's the type of fan that I am. I don't care how much we are out of it. I want to win games, but this season really took it out of me. And even 2023, those Tommy DeVito culture wins, I was on board with at the time. And it really took me this season to really acknowledge that, hey, maybe tanking is in the best interest. Now, whether or not this draft class is really worth tanking for is still up for question. This has been kind of looked at as a draft class that isn't very good, especially for the quarterbacks. But let's get into a little bit of what really happened in this season, kind of a recap of it. But before we do any of that, make sure you guys check out BetUS. They are sponsoring the channel, the NFC East Roundtable channel, and also my channel as well. So huge shout out to them. Be sure to check them out for a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. Second and third are 125% as long as you use the promo code YouTube150 when you sign up. Make sure you guys bet responsibly. Bet responsibly. Do not bet on the Giants. I mean, the Giants aren't playing anymore anyway, but I hope you didn't bet on the Giants because I made sure to stay away from that team, from this team. Now, you know, going into this season, I had a lot of confidence. I'll be honest with you. I had the Giants. I predicted them to finish 7-10. That was a little bit of a optimistic point of view of the New York Giants. And by the way, I guessed the Philadelphia Eagles record correctly, I believe. I think I did. But, yeah, props to me there, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, the Giants, I kind of went into the season saying, hey, this does not look like a playoff roster, but we can build off of what happened last year, where this team won 6 games last year in 2023. They shouldn't have come close to 6 wins. That team last year in 2023 should have been a 2 or 3 win season, similar to what we saw from the Giants this season. You know, they had nothing as far as an offense goes at all. The offensive line was completely beat up, more so than it was this year. The weapons were without Malik Neighbors. We had Darren Waller, who was there, but then he was hurt, and then, you know, you kind of had to shuffle around from there. Daniel Jones went out early on in the season, and, you know, you had to use the likes of Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito at the quarterback, and, you know, they found a way to win 6 games. Hell, they won 3 straight with Tommy DeVito. So I went into the season a little bit more optimistic and saying, hey, if this team just stays healthy, we have a chance to go out there and start winning. And I really thought that first game against Minnesota was going to be a win. Now, I didn't nearly imagine Minnesota would have done what they did this year. And, you know, they were in competition for the first seed going into the going into the playoffs this season. So, they had a really good season. So I don't feel as bad losing to the Vikings now as I did when we initially lost to them, because I was like, hell, it's Sam Darnold. It's the Vikings and Sam Darnold, and I'm sure we can handle them. And they whooped us like 28-6 or something like that, right? So you go in that game, all right, you get punched in the mouth. The Giants are never a team to start off to a great start. I mean, I can't remember the Giants consistently winning their first game every single season. I know they did it in 2022. Usually when the Giants win their first game, they make the playoffs. And I don't think they've ever won their first game and like missed the playoffs. So that's a really good indicator if they're going to miss or make the playoffs, is that first game. And so they start off 0-1. Then they go to Washington. And, I believe that was at Washington. Malik Neighbors had himself a really good game. I think he broke 100 yards. He had like 120-something yards. He had, I believe, 2 touchdowns. That was kind of his coming out game, right, where he kind of just broke out. And, the Giants scored 3 touchdowns but had the issue of not having a kicker. So, the Giants mismanaged, the kicker situation, whether that be Brian Dable or Joe Shane. Who knows at this point? They mismanaged that, and the Giants found a way to lose the game because they did not have a kicker. They weren't able to convert any of their extra points or 2-point conversions, and the Giants found themselves 3 points behind the Commanders, who scored only field goals to win that game. The Giants scored only touchdowns and somehow lost the football game. And then you go into week 3, the Giants going against the Browns. This one, ironically enough, I had the prior 2 games as wins before the season started, where the Giants started 2-0. I know, high hopes there. But this is where I thought the Giants were going to lose their first game. It turns out it was completely opposite. The Giants lose their first 2 games, and they beat the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns were a bad team this year, but early on, their defense was still playing pretty damn well. They still have Myles Garrett out there, and the Giants found a way to score 20. Now, they scored all their points in the first half, but they found a way to get up on the Browns. I believe it was like 21-7 at halftime, maybe 21-0, something like that. I mean, just completely blowing them out. Daniel Jones had one of his better games that season against the Cleveland Browns, and the Giants found a way to come up with a win there, 21-15. And I thought, hey, the Giants are getting back on track. Look, they beat a really good defense. I thought their game plan going in, when I broke down the film, was really good, and I thought they could really build off of that. Then you go into that Cowboys game at home, and they come close to beating the Cowboys. And here I am thinking the Cowboys are a good team this year. And I'm like, hey, we came close to beating a team that we can never beat. We lose to them 20-15.
Huge shout out to BetUS for sponsoring today's show. If you guys go to BetUS, you guys can use a 150% bonus on your first deposit to get a 150% bonus, 125% on your next 2. That's up to $2,000. The Super Bowl is here. Chiefs, Eagles, and the early odds is in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs with 1-point favorites, with the money line at -127, and the over-under is at 49. If you want to check out BetUS, you can already bet on the Super Bowl. They have a lot of fun prop bets. You can even bet on the coin toss if you wanted to. Are the Chiefs going to win the coin toss, or are the Eagles going to win the coin toss? And if you stay tuned to BetUS, they always come out with the best Super Bowl prop bets on the entire planet. So definitely go check out BetUS at betus.com.pa and using the promo code YouTube150 when you sign up today.
And then we go to Seattle. Now, this was the game. This was the most complete game the Giants have played this season. I know the Giants beat up on the Colts 45-35 or something like that. But this is the game where I really thought they played the most complete season, because they were on it on offense, defense, and even special teams with the block kick. And that really, pushed the Giants to win that game. Obviously, the block kick returned for a touchdown. I believe it was by Bryce Ford Wheaton. And they win that game. Now they're I believe 2 and 3 at this point. And I'm like, hey, I mean, we're still in it. We are still in this thing. That Bengals game on, I believe it was a Monday Night Football, or something. It was a primetime game. Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. I think it was Sunday Night Football. The Giants could not find a way offensively to score on one of the worst defenses. And the Bengals, I know they picked it up towards the end of the season, but the Bengals had a consistently bad defense the entire season. That's why Lou Anarumo, or whatever his name is, got fired. And it was the exact reason why the Bengals were out of the playoffs. We held Joe Burrow, who was, I believe, an MVP candidate. We had Jamar Chase, who led the league in like touchdowns, receptions, yards, and I believe Joe Burrow ended up being first in those categories as well. We held him to 17 points, and the Giants couldn't take advantage of the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL and found a way to lose 17-7. That was a big moment where we can't take advantage of opportunities. Then you move on to the Eagles game. I don't even want to talk about that. We don't beat the Eagles ever. We get blown out by the Eagles every time. Doesn't matter if it's home or away, 28-3. The Steelers game, we came up short, thought we could have beat them, didn't wind up beating them. The Commanders game, the second time around, the Giants played a better game, but defensively they couldn't hold up like they did in week 2, and we found a way to get swept by the Commanders for the first time since 2020. And before that, the Commanders sweeping the Giants is something like of urban legend. It just never happens. And so this is the second time in God knows how long that the Commanders beat the Giants, and you know it's a bad season if the Commanders sweep the Giants, because historically the Giants are the most winningest team against another team against the Commanders. The Giants versus the Commanders, I don't think there's been another team to beat another team so many times. If you guys know what I'm saying there. So let's look on to where the season really goes downhill. The Panthers game. In Germany, the Panthers game, the Giants found a way to lose that game in overtime. Tyrone Tracy fumbles it like first play of the game, and they lose that game. This is the moment where I said it's time to wrap it up. It's time to just lose out. There's no point of winning these games anymore. Because the Panthers were, like, at the time, the worst team in the NFL, bar none. So what pride will you take in winning any of these other games if you just lost to the worst team in the NFL? And you're already at this point, you're like 2-9, 2-8 at this point, right? Like, just a bad record for the Giants. And then the Giants lose a bunch of those games. We don't have to go through every single one of those the rest of the games. But the Giants lose a bunch of other games after that. And they are in position. Matter of fact, they have the number 1 pick before that Indianapolis Colts game. They have it. And we wouldn't be here, sitting here in purgatory, wondering who the Giants are going to take with now the 3rd overall pick. They had the 1st overall pick for the first time in my lifetime, at least. I don't know when's the last time they had the 1st overall pick, but they could have had it and got whoever they wanted. They don't have to leave their guy in another team's hands. They found a way to win that game. Not just win that game, just dominate that game against the Indianapolis Colts. 45 points with Drew Lock. He had 5 total touchdowns. And the Colts, I mean, it's not like they didn't put up a fight. They scored like 35 points. So the Giants just screwed themselves out of the 1st pick, and now like rooting for those losses just meant like almost nothing at this point, right? But we'll see what happens towards the draft time. I'm sure we'll talk a lot of draft on this channel and also my channel as well. We'll talk a lot of draft. We'll talk about what the Giants should do in the future. But the Giants this season were just a complete mess. You couldn't root for them to win, right? They kind of forced you to root for them to lose. And they couldn't even do that right. It's like you don't even know what to root for with the New York Giants. You just got to sit there and just watch the game because you love the team. I love this team. I love the New York Giants. It's just so sickening to watch sometimes. Most of the time. Actually, all the time. Besides maybe 2 games that actually mattered. That whole season. So the 2024 season for the Giants were a complete wash. Complete blur. It's I'm going to remember it for all bad reasons, of course, but don't ask me to recall anything about this 2024 season because not only do I not want to remember it, I probably won't remember it. So that's it. That's about it. I mean, we had a pretty good rookie class. Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson. These guys played well. You got rid of Daniel Jones. Who knows what's going to happen afterwards? This team's in a complete disarray. And they're rebuilding, but rebuilding downwards. It seems like they're building basements. They're not building skyscrapers. They're building underground secret bases or something because they're going nowhere but down. So that being said, make sure you guys leave a like on this channel. I believe we're about almost at 3,000 subscribers. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, man, NFC East Roundtable, we're running strong. We got the best content creators in the business right here on this channel, so make sure you guys like it up, subscribe if you guys are new here. And yeah, this has been KB recapping the New York Giants' pitiful 2024 season, and we will see you guys very, very soon.
This video is powered by BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 to get your 150% sign-up bonus. Start playing today with an exclusive offer. Shout out to BetUS for being the proud sponsor of Roundtable Sports.